Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Can Claressa Shields fight? She's been locked out by MVP. And, I'm rolling the dice, man, on whether they're going to lift that ban or not. But Claressa is her own worst enemy, man. She is. If her being locked out by MVP, if that's not the wake-up call, I don't know what is. Matter of fact, I don't even know if y'all can see this. Let me see if I could... hold on a second. Let's see if I can do this. All right. Let me see if I can do this right here. There it is, right there. MVP locks out Shields. She's begging them, please, oh, please, man, oh, please, man, please, please, please. Let me back in. It's not going to work like that, big bad wolf. Little MVP, let me in. They're like, nah, not by the head of chinny chin chin. We already know what you about. But although Claressa Shields is a little bit Sesame Street, man, personality-wise, from what she shows, she's just a hard pill to swallow, man. But at the same time, it's difficult to argue against her ability. She just dropped from heavyweight to middleweight, stopped Kaye Scott in 6 rounds. And I understand both sides of the argument. But I also understand when you talk about her spending the previous portion of her career at heavyweight and dropping I said it was 40 pounds. She said 38. I think it's still a little bit over, but bottom line is close to 40 pounds, which is what I said, but she did admit it was 38 pounds. Oh, and then she was saying it was a 9-week training camp. That shit was a 21-week training camp, folks. But she says a 14-week camp to get down to 160. That's not easy to do. And the thing is, she came in there, she didn't just try to survive and go the distance, and she wasn't pushing for the knockout. She just kind of let it come to her. She fought in bursts, but she dominated. The hand speed, body punching combinations, the ring intelligence, the adjustments being made, the pressure, then the finish, and that's an extraordinary athletic accomplishment, okay? If Kaye Scott had a little more speed, maybe the outcome would have been different, but the bottom line is, whenever someone ups it, Claressa's able to up it even more in the fight. She's always had the same mentality, find a way to win. That may be her greatest attribute. She's not looking for perfect conditions. She doesn't need the perfect opponent. She doesn't need everything to go according to plan. She figures things out. She's repeatedly fought through different styles and found solutions. I know everybody's going to talk about the talent level and stuff like that, but is it really Claressa Shields' fault? But I do think right now, Hannah Gabriel's Chris Cyborg. Fight him. Because if MVP's not going to let you fight Hannah Gabriel, fight Chris Cyborg. I understand Lauren Price, she has a gold medal, but fight Hannah Gabriel, fight Chris Cyborg. If you're doing this for the fans, or is your team just all about the money? If Claressa fought Hannah Gabriel's right now, she may get credit, she may not, because Hannah's older than, and she's inactive and she's older than Kaye Scott. But the fans who are talking trash, well, then they wouldn't have nothing to say. Then if she fought Chris Cyborg after that and whipped her ass, fans wouldn't have nothing to say. They can fight Lauren Price and do whatever. Maybe by then, MVP will lift the ban. But the bottom line is she fought through different styles and found solutions, and that's where her statement with Kaye Scott was also so revealing, because she's, in my opinion, she essentially said that skill overrides strength and emphasized that she knows how to win. And that's the mentality of an elite fighter. She wasn't even worried about the age. She said Kaye Scott had old woman strength. But even looking at her, she didn't take no mercy on her. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing about her career. She's not looking at an opponent thinking someone's too old or too young, too experienced, too inexperienced. She did call Tam Tebow green, but then she came out and said, look, MVP lit the ban. I'll whip her ass. So her mentality is, can you beat me? You know what I mean? That's just her mentality. We all know she's crazy. If the answer is no, she believes you're going to lose. That's why Kaye Scott, that fight was such a good example. Scott was 42. She was a champion. She had 120 amateur bouts. But I never heard somebody talk so much about amateur bouts outside of Lomachenko. But it's like that was the marketing point for Kaye Scott, the amateur experience. Everybody says pros different from the amateurs. But the bottom line, she was a champion, unified, and Claressa Shields didn't enter the fight with any sympathy. She entered the fight with a championship objective, so did Kaye Scott. And once she found her opening, boom, she let their hands go. And the corner stopped the contest after 6 rounds. They threw in about 2,000 towels and a handkerchief, white socks, and a midget. They said, fuck this, you ain't gonna kill our Kaye Scott. And I thought the corner did the right thing stopping the fight. But this thing about the greatest woman of all time, listen, I deal with whole person concept. But when you're talking just boxing, this is the argument by most people. It's not my argument. I'm just telling you the argument for most people. 2 Olympic gold medals, world championships in 5 weight classes, undisputed championships, heavyweight history, middleweight history. Now she got more titles at 160 again. So her resume is so extensive that people who don't like her personality, they got to acknowledge, yeah, we don't like her, but she can box. You know what I mean? You just look at the assessments being made on Claressa, essentially makes that same distinction. For everyone's assessment. Shield has accomplished nearly everything, but still lacks the defining rival that can elevate her profile even further. She should have fought Shadesha. That should have been the fight, not Franchon. But they were putting duck sauce on the fried rice. And see, that's where the story becomes complicated. Layla even told her, you gotta have a rival. She didn't have one. You see, her personality has become part of the boxing story, and it's overshadowing what she's doing now and the legacy that she's building. You know? But supporters and critics, they can agree on her being a great fighter, but they separate when it comes to this shit. Her public persona is so aggressive. She talks, she responds, she confronts. We don't know if she flossing, brushing her teeth. Man, please, I ain't backing down, her champion. Okay, no problem there, big bro. That's where you want to be. That's your problem. I'm just saying, sometimes those confrontations with you look like they had a physical with Alycia. She ain't hit you back, but you try that shit again, somebody may hit you and hurt you, jump you, shoot you. So Claressa's out here just being super toxic, but her supporters are like, yeah, atta girl, there you go. That's what we want to see. But a lot of us out here like, nah, we don't want to see that. That Baumgardner incident is the clearest example of Claressa being as toxic as she possibly can be. You know what I mean? And that incident is what led to the MVP ban, and Shields has been banned indefinitely. MVP specifically said there's a time and place for fight attention and banter. That wasn't the time and place. Claressa played herself. And that's important because we know boxing needs trash talk, boxing needs personalities, boxing needs rivalries. But promoters also need to protect their events, and Claressa is a risk. She's a liability. The MVP ban is more important than it looks. Some people might say, Hood, here you go, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, screw you, McNicholas. You hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Financially, Shields can certainly continue fighting without being an MVP fighter or fighting one of their women. But that's not the entire issue. The issue is she needs access to some elite competition. Where's she going to find it at? You know what I'm saying? Where's she going? El Segundo? Because MVP has built an unusually deep women's boxing roster, and that shit matters because the biggest women's fights often come from putting elite fighters under the same promotional umbrella. And Claressa's not there. She wanted to go at Papoose, and win records. I don't need MVP. I can't work with them. She trashed everything about MVP. Everything. Look at MVP's women's roster now. They got relationships with major female fighters from Baumgardner, Serrano, Mayer. You got Rosado. You got DeBar. I can keep going on, man, with all the fighters they got over there. And they got connection with other prominent women in the sport and prominent people outside of boxing. You know, Jake Paul got something special when he got Barack on speed dial, Trump on speed dial, the champion on speed dial. Michaela Mayer specifically explained that MVP's promotional reach and ability to make major women's fights were among the reasons she moved to top rank. She moved from top rank. She up out of there. And that's significant because if you're an independent champion, you can be the greatest fighter alive and still have difficulty getting the opponents you want. Claressa should have signed with MVP. I don't care what anyone says. And that's the big question for Claressa. She out here saying, I can fight anyone anywhere and still sell out and still do this. I could go to Massachusetts and I could Well, then go to Massachusetts. Go to Wisconsin. Go to Indianapolis. Go to Minneapolis. Go and sell out. Go to Boise, Idaho. Des Moines, Iowa. Go and sell out, big vote. Let's see what happens. Roll the dice. Pap like to gamble. Gamble together. What if the biggest opponents aren't available? That's my thing. It looks like the biggest opponents aren't available and she wants access. Hey, Jake, lift the band. Man, please. Lift the band. Lift the band. I'll come over there with all your asses. 160, Nikisa, Michaela, Chantel, all of them. Tam, T-Boo, T-Boo, T-Boo. Papoose, pap, pap. Brrr. Man, please, bullshit. Let me in over there. I got to get over there. Open the door. I huff and puff. You know I don't floss and brush my teeth or my tongue. Just open the goddamn door. Just open the door. Because that hot breath, Lord have mercy, we don't need that shit over here. But what if the biggest opponents aren't available? Because I think even if the breasts think they ain't letting her in, she can huff and puff all she wants. They're not letting her in. Imagine if she wants to fight Baumgardner. Imagine if Baumgardner considered coming up to 154. But she like, nah, she slapped me. She don't deserve that. To take Baumgardner somewhere else. MVP controls Baumgardner. See, she can't simply walk into an MVP event, even if she wants. Like Kayla Mayer. Mayer's part of MVP. I know her and Claressa have a bit of a rapport. But imagine other elite fighters who have signed with MVP. Claressa wants to fight or will sign to MVP. Claressa doesn't have access to them. All of a sudden, Shields is looking at an increasingly concentrated women's boxing market from the outside. And that's not necessarily fatal, but it makes matchmaking way more complicated. What's Papoose? What's he going to do to make the fight? How's he going to do it? Nobody want to hear him talking about winning records, man. You know, we getting money. Nah, man, make fights. Make the biggest fights for Claressa. Can you do that? Papoose! You see the Lauren Price fight? That's the exception. That's why Demetrius Solito's mentioning it. Like, that's a path to a major fight with her. But because Price isn't an MVP fighter, she's arguably the most important potential opponent available to Shields at 160, but Price fights at 147. So for her to come up to 160 and fight Claressa, that's a lose-lose for Price, and it's a lose-lose for Claressa. She may win the fight, but she ain't gonna get no damn credit for beating Lauren, although Lauren is a gold medalist and all that. She's way smaller than Claressa, way smaller. So she stopped Scott. Now she's talking about Price as a future target. She went out there to the UK for Caroline Dubois' fight, got in the ring with Scott. I mean, that's huge, but it demonstrates something important that Shields doesn't need MVP to make every major fight. But I mean, pickings are slim. After Lauren Price, what's next? Hannah Gabriel, Chris Cybo, or this girl from Instagram, Face Shot Leah? She better never fight that girl. First of all, the girl can't even beat Tasiki. Face Shot Leah is cool and all, little young girl over there doing whatever, but she'll get her ass tore out the frame. You know what I'm saying? Big whoa. I'm telling you, man. Does she need elite fighters outside MVP to create a sustainable schedule? I think so. But what happens if Shields has to fight non-elite opponents? See, this is where fans become extremely important. Imagine if she goes and fights somebody with a record of like 8-7, then 11-9, or 13-8, or some other fighter with no major championship resume. Claressa's gonna probably win every one of those fights, but the audience eventually asks, who the hell is she fighting? Even her diehard fans are gonna say that. And that's where greatness can become boring, you know what I'm saying? Because if fans don't pay for greatness, I just want to make this abundantly clear. Fans don't pay for greatness alone. This is one of the most important lessons when it comes to boxing. Fans don't just buy the greatest fighter. They buy the greatest fighter against somebody they care about. Muhammad Ali needed Joe Frazier. Sugar Ray Leonard needed Thomas Hearns. Mike Tyson needed Evander Holyfield. Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao. Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. You know what I'm saying? Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe. I mean, there are rivalries that go on to create the event. There's a rivalry right now that's brewing, man. There's Danny Dubois and what's his name? Fabio Wardley. to be the second fight. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's Shields' biggest problem right now. It's not her talent. It's not championships. It's not fame. It's rivalry. You know, she has almost everything, but lacks the peer level rival who could create the kind of sustained rivalry that transforms an already great fight into a cultural attraction. And that is a serious boxing business issue that her team, Papoose, can't seem to figure out. And they're not going to be able to figure out because they don't have the experience, although he's going the Don King route, putting the money before the fighter. If he put the fighter before the money, he would already know what to do. And he would have never allowed Claressa to go and slap Alycia. He'd have been thinking, yo, this right here is going to ruin opportunities to get you big fights. Let's just leave it alone. She talking shit about you, about me, our relationship. It doesn't bother me. Don't let it bother you. Take a deep breath, leave it alone. Nah, he wanted her to go gangster NWA, turn into Eazy-E and shit. So she went out there and did what she did. Now, let's talk about Atlanta. See, this is where the question become really interesting. August 15th, that shit was a combination of championship boxing and Zeus Network Entertainment. The undercard was promoted through Zeus, while the championship portion aired on DAZN. The event was presented by Salida Promotions in partnership with Win Records, Claressa Shields Promotions, and Route 30 Promotions, with Zeus as a presenting sponsor. And Zeus brought recognizable entertainment personalities to the event's ecosystem, and the shit was good. It was funny as hell. Ray J, Orlando, I can't say enough about them two dudes. Shit was like the circus. Big Lex and Tasiki impressed me. Both of those women can fight. You know what I'm saying? Then you had the bouncers, big, strong dudes. The Samoan did the business. So now we get to the $1 million question, right? Did people come to see Claressa, or did they come for the Zeus experience? You know? And I'll be honest with you. I have an opinion, but I don't have enough data to separate the two. You know what I mean? Word on the street is the crowd was approximately 16,000. But there's no reliable public breakdown showing how many bought tickets because of Shields, how many bought tickets because of Zeus. If you listen to Big Whoop, she'll tell you that everyone came for me, man. Please, Pebbles, pap, pap, here we go. Oh boy. It's my birthday. No, it's not your birthday. We don't know. We don't know if the crowd was there for Claressa. That's speculation. Also, if the crowd was there for Zeus, it'll be speculation. But there's something we can analyze. Is Zeus may have helped create the event atmosphere. I'll tell you that shit. This is very important. Entertainment personalities can bring people into the building who might normally attend a traditional boxing card, especially after you look at Claressa Shields disrespecting the radio personality, Miss Shanika. You know what I'm saying? So that's smart promotion. That's some Don King shit. That's some Rumble in the Jungle shit. You know? Brand entertainment. It expands the demographic. It creates social media content. It creates crossover attention. And it gives the event a party atmosphere. That's exactly what Zeus and the promoters were trying to create. The partnership was explicitly described as combining boxing with entertainment and culture. And for Atlanta, it seemed to work. And maybe it would have been maxed out at 18,000 if she wouldn't have disrespected the radio personality, because that was just stupid. But it got people talking. But here's the test for Big Bo. Forget the Zeus celebrities, forget the entertainment, forget the special attraction. Can Claressa sell a building by herself? Now, to that I say, in the most respectful way, Ayo, Big Bo, Pat, Poof, Pat, and everyone else. Hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. Prove to us that the ultimate test can be passed with flying colors. Can she draw substantial crowds? I believe so. She previously spoke about crowds of 16,000 to 18,000 in Detroit, expressing surprise and gratitude for the support she receives in person, despite the negativity she receives online. So the argument is, nobody will come see Claressa. It's simply too simplistic. But is there a clear, substantial audience for her? Some would say, yeah, but can she sell alone like what she's done? You see what I mean? That doesn't mean she can sell any opponent. That shit she did in Atlanta. Atlanta's just different, man. And the Zeus card is different. But what she had going on in Detroit, word is she wasn't selling it out. She said she was. There are people who are there and people who are counting numbers say she wasn't. I don't know. She looks like she gets decent turnouts, but so much shit has happened since the Detroit fight and the fight here in Atlanta. In her next fight, I think she's going to have another kind of attraction, another kind of brand entertainment type event, you know? Because Claressa, she's the name on the headline. She's the headliner. But I think the opponent determines how big the attraction can become. She didn't have the name for an opponent, but she had Zeus attached to it. That's what got people talking. It got me talking because I was like, Zeus, what the hell is Zeus? That's the one where they be fighting each other? The ladies in the live broke it down to me. So a dominant champion fighting a complete mismatch may attract some of her loyal supporters, but a dominant champion fighting another superstar, well, now you created an event. Claressa can't go from this Kaye Scott fight to something less than that. She got to move up the ladder. She can't reverse. And this is why MVP can still matter. Even if Shields doesn't feel she needs MVP to fight, I mean, look, MVP could be useful to Shields because of his matchmaking ecosystem. I go cut the grass. I got about 70 pair of shoes here. I don't necessarily need a pair of steel-toe boots when I'm out doing yard work because I got so many pair of shoes. But it's pretty useful to have a pair of steel toes out there when you're cutting grass and doing yard work. Same thing with Claressa. She can probably fight anyone and get some of the loyal fans to come out and support. But it's so much nicer if she has access to MVP's roster where she can go elite versus elite, superstar versus superstar. I mean, look, dream fights happen. They got Baumgardner over there. They got Mayor Serrano. I mean, they got everybody over there. You know what I'm saying? Price isn't there, but a Price, that's some talent. Then you got emerging women stars over there. So it has a pipeline of potential major opponents. Claressa says she want to fight to 38. I can't see her fighting to 38 and not figuring out a way to get access to them MVP women. I know they ain't leaving them and going to Demetrius Salita, I'll tell you that shit. Shields being outside that system means every fight may require separate negotiations. And that's not impossible, but it's harder. It's harder. So this is where the ban becomes a career lesson. The ban doesn't prove that Shields a bad person, all right? Everybody's going to have an opinion. I think she's crazy, but she chooses to be crazy and act like the villain, you know? But it doesn't prove that she can't be successful just because there's a ban, and it doesn't diminish her accomplishments. But what the ban does is it demonstrates that there can be professional consequences when personal conflicts spill into a promoter's event. You can't be bringing that violence there. Now all of a sudden, you got fans who don't want to come out because they're worried about some kind of chaos or some bullshit. And MVP stated the reason was not Claressa isn't a good boxer. It was about the conduct at the MVP event. That's a very important distinction, you know? And there's some irony when you think about Claressa Shields' position. This is what makes the whole situation so fascinating. She's going to tell you, I don't need MVP. And from a pure boxing standpoint, I mean, she kind of has a legitimate argument. She got her own promotional structure. She has Salita Win Records, Claressa Shields Promotions. She got a relationship with DAZN, has her own audience. She has championship belts. She can make fights. But then, you know, why does the MVP ban matter? Because having power and having access aren't the same thing. You can have all the power in the world, but you can't get inside a gym and pump that iron. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have enough power to operate independently while still wanting access to the largest pool of elite opponents. That's a contradiction. And it's one of the most interesting business questions in women's boxing. So should Jake Paul lift the ban? I would frame this as Jake Paul should never give Claressa. You know, I would say, I wouldn't say never give it to her, but I would say, because that's kind of like a personal attack on her, and I'm not trying to do that. Everyone knows that I don't dislike her like her. She's just annoying and crazy and entertaining. But I'm not rooting for her to win or fail. I'm just watching. But Jake Paul should never give Claressa that. I think the better question is, what does MVP believe is best for his business? If MVP believes Shields can generate a major event with one of its fighters, there's a financial incentive to reconsider the relationship eventually. And that's what I'd be curious about. You know what I'm saying? Do they feel Claressa can generate a major event for one of their fighters? But if MVP believes allowing Shields back would undermine this event security standards or create more conflict, the company has a legitimate reason to maintain the ban. And that's ultimately a business decision, you know? So Shields' best move right now, I think, is stop fighting promoters. Stop listening to papoose, I don't mean physically fighting them. I'm talking about the public war. She don't have to convince Jake Paul. She doesn't have to convince MVP. She doesn't have to win every argument online. She doesn't have to respond to every insult. She doesn't have to be out here trying to assault people. Just keep the business in the ring. Talk your little trash, but she's gone overboard with the trash talk and getting physical. Her strongest weapon is just doing her business in the ring. You know what I mean? Because her resume is already talking. You know, think about how powerful the message becomes if Claressa Shields says, you don't have to like me, you don't have to invite me, you don't have to promote me. Just, man, please, watch what happens when the bell rings. That's the message that Papoose said, Papoose. That's what he should be telling her. Hey, yo, big whoa. You heard? All you gotta do is keep winning, looking immaculate, looking prestigious. You know what I mean? And then when all the positive vibes inundate us, because you and I are incommittent, whatever that word is, but, you know, you can't be insouciant. You know, it's you and I. Then after we get the alcohol, we turn to dipsomaniacs. Yeah. Let me stop confusing myself with all these big words because I got an expanded vocabulary. And hey, yo, papoose, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stoop with all these big ass words. Put down the goddamn dictionaries. All she gotta do is back up her words in the ring. But some say, yo, she's just too good, hood. Be real, she's just too good. I mean, that shit sounds strange to me, but I mean, it could happen. Floyd was just too good. Is Claressa just too good? Does she destroy everyone? If she does that and she gets the opportunities, people are going to start saying, who's left? What's left? Is there anybody? And the promoters have a problem, you know, not because Claressa can't fight it, because dominance without competition becomes predictable. She going up and down weight. I still think she should fight Hannah Gabriels and Cyborg. You know, I think that's big money in those fights. Big money. But we're going to see what they do next. They want to fight Lauren Price. Maybe there's big money fighting Lauren Price. I don't know. Tam Tebow is a big fight. I know that. But fight Hannah Gabriels and what's her name? Chris Cyborg. There's an African lady, man, who's getting busy right now. I just put her on, I just did a YouTube short on her. I'm going to show y'all who she is right now. But I don't know where she's at. I don't know what she's doing, but I'm about to show y'all who she is. What I can tell you is, if Claressa fight this woman, Claressa gonna have her hands full. You know what I'm saying? This is her right here. Boom, 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 boom. Pull back, jab, uppercut. 3-2, boom. She getting busy. If Claressa were to fight this big mama right here, I'll tell you, everybody be talking. Everybody. It's a big woman right here, man. It's a big woman. Anyway, I don't think she's gonna fight her. I don't know where this woman's at. I don't know what she's doing. I know she's fighting. But boy, when I came across that one, I was like, yikes. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said. I said, yikes. But anyway, we'll see what happens with Claressa Shields. The Lauren Price fight is very important. But if Shields just keeps fighting these non-elite opponents, man, people are gonna have something to say about her. You know, she got to figure it out. You know, because is she ducking? Is she picking easy fights? Is she just too good? There's nobody left. The promoters can't find anybody, or they can't get anyone to fight her. I mean, that whole thing becomes frustrating for the fighter, for opponents, for fans, for the promoters. I mean, because some of those statements can be simultaneously true, but we don't want to hear that bullshit. You know what I mean? Shields can be difficult to match because of her attitude and mouth. Maybe because she's elite. But if there was some money attached to Claressa Shields, she wouldn't have any problems. If Claressa Shields was out here generating $5 and $6, $7 million paydays, and the opponent she was fighting would automatically get a million or 500,000, people would be fighting her. She just doesn't generate money like that. She can say the most she ever made was 3 point something. We all know that's bullshit. We know that's bullshit. Just like she lied about how much weight she had to lose. 20 pounds and 15 pounds and 30. Now it's 40. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Sold. We know better. So the ultimate test for me is for Claressa, we know she can fight, but she needs to prove that she can consistently create events that are different. You know what I mean? Great fighters, they win. You know, she needs attractions she can get people to want to buy and come out to. You know what I mean? She needs to really focus on being a well-rounded superstar that can create anticipation and a legend that creates rivalry so she can have a legacy she can be proud of. Because right now, all of her drama is overshadowing all the good she's done in the sport. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares because all she's putting out is negativity. So inside the ring, big quote, extraordinary talent. The Kaye Scott victory reinforced that. She moved down dramatically in weight, controlled a unified champion, stopped her in 6 rounds, and didn't care about her medical history or her age. No mercy. She went all out. Outside the ring, that confrontational public persona creates unnecessary business risk. They got to sort that out, her and her team. The MVP band is a real example. It's not proof that her career is doomed, but evidence that actions away from the ring can have professional consequences. And that's what she's dealing with. So, regarding MVP, she already has a career. She doesn't need MVP to have a career, but having access to MVP's women's roster can make it easier to create the elite matchups that elevate her commercial profile. So she does need them, not for a career, but to elevate her commercial profile. And that's where you're talking about sponsorships and endorsement deals that could come her way. Now, when it comes to Atlanta, I'm hearing 14,000, 15,000, 16,000 out of the 18,000 seats available. It just shows that no matter what, there's a significant live interest in people coming out to a Claressa Shields event. But we can't scientifically determine how many attendees came specifically for Shields versus the broader Zeus boxing entertainment package. Like, we just don't know. Big stretch. So the biggest problem is not MVP, it's who can challenge Claressa Shields. Because if Shields keeps destroying champions but can't find another superstar willing to scrap with her, the greatest woman in boxing, what she calls herself, could eventually become the woman everybody respects, but nobody gets excited to watch. And that's kind of how it is, man. That's the paradox of being the self-proclaimed GOAT. She better figure it out, especially her team. Papoose, too great to fail, but banned by MVP. What's Papoose gonna do to fix this? I guess we'll find out. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.